History repeats itself, first as tragedy, second as farce. From each according to his abilities, to each according to his needs. Capital is dead labor, which, vampire-like, lives only by sucking living labor, and lives the more labor it sucks. Revolutions are the locomotives of history. Nothing can have value without being an object of utility. Experience praises the most happy, the one who made the most people happy. Art is always and everywhere the secret confession, and at the same time the immortal movement of its time. In a bourgeois society, capital is independent and has individuality, while the living person is dependent and has no individuality. The human being is in the most literal sense a political animal, not merely a gregarious animal, but an animal which can individuate itself only in the midst of society. Religion is the impotence of the human mind to deal with occurrences it cannot understand. Capital is reckless of the health or length of life of the laborer, unless under compulsion from society. The theory of communism may be summed up in one sentence: abolish all private property. The development of civilization and industry in general has always shown itself so active in the destruction of forests that everything that has been done for their conservation and production is completely insignificant in comparison. There is a specter haunting Europe, the specter of communism. History does nothing. It does not possess immense riches. It does not fight battles. It is men, real, living, who do all this. The product of mental labor, science, always stands far below its value, because the labor time necessary to reproduce it has no relation at all to the labor time required for its original production. It is not history which uses men as a means of achieving, as if it were an individual person, its own ends. History is nothing but the activity of men in pursuit of their ends. Social progress can be measured by the social position of the female sex. Workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains. Democracy is the road to socialism. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people. Necessity is blind until it becomes conscious. Freedom is the consciousness of necessity. Landlords, like all other men, love to reap where they never sowed. Society does not consist of individuals, but expresses the sum of interrelations, the relations within which these individuals stand. For the bureaucrat, the world is a mere object to be manipulated by him. The writer must earn money in order to be able to live and to write, but he must by no means live and write for the purpose of making money. Men's ideas are the most direct emanations of their material state. It is absolutely impossible to transcend the laws of nature. What can change in historically different circumstances is only the form in which these laws expose themselves. The ideas of the ruling class are in every epoch the ruling ideas, i.e., the class which is the ruling material force of society is at the same time its ruling intellectual force. On a level plane, simple mounds look like hills, and the insipid flatness of our present bourgeoisie is to be measured by the altitude of its great intellects. The writer may very well serve a movement of history as its mouthpiece, but he cannot, of course, create it. The English have all the material requisites for the revolution. What they lack is the spirit of generalization and revolutionary ardor. Without doubt, machinery has greatly increased the number of well-to-do idlers. The country that is more developed industrially only shows, to the less developed, the image of its own future. Capital is money. Capital is commodities. By virtue of it being value, it has acquired the occult ability to add value to itself. It brings forth living offspring, or at the least, lays golden eggs. The only antidote to mental suffering is physical pain. Reason has always existed, but not always in a reasonable form. The meaning of peace is the absence of opposition to socialism. The rich will do anything for the poor but get off their backs. We should not say that one man's hour is worth another man's hour, but rather that one man during an hour is worth just as much as another man during an hour. Time is everything, man is nothing. He is at the most time's carcass. The history of all previous societies has been the history of class struggles. The more the division of labor and the application of machinery extend, the more does competition extend among the workers, the more do their wages shrink together. While the miser is merely a capitalist gone mad, the capitalist is a rational miser. Capitalist production, therefore, develops technology in the combining together of various processes into a social whole, only by sapping the original sources of all wealth, the soil and the laborer. Machines were, it may be said, the weapon employed by the capitalists to quell the revolt of specialized labor. A commodity appears at first sight an extremely obvious, trivial thing, but its analysis brings out that it is a very strange thing, abounding in metaphysical subtleties and theological niceties.